My name is Rafael, you watch Rock and Roll Garage, and today I'm going to show you the 17 horror movies that Alice Cooper said are some of his favorites of all time. But first, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave your comment. Well, we mixed two lists to make this video. 4 movies are coming from a list that Alice gave to NME in 2011, and the rest are coming from a list that he released on his social media during the pandemic. So let's start. The first one is Salem's Lot, released in 1979. It's a TV movie, a vampire story based on a novel by Stephen King. And it has the famous actor and singer David So, who sadly passed away in 2024. This movie had 2 remakes already. The most recent one was also released in 2024. And in the interview with NME, he said that Barlow, who is the main vampire in the story, is probably the scariest vampire of all time, according to him. So that's the first movie. The second one that he listed is Suspiria, released in 1977. It also had an American remake a few years ago. And it was originally directed by Dario Argento, one of the most famous horror directors of all time. He's from Italy. And Alice said that this movie is just pure creep. It's just creepy, and he said that it's more scary because you never see the monster in the movie, according to him. The third one that he listed is The Haunting, released in 1963. It's The Haunting of Hill House, made in the early 60s. It has Claire Bloom, Julie Harris, and it's another movie that, according to him, you don't see the monster. And he also listed as one of the greatest ones for sure. And he also said that it is also absolutely terrifying when they did the remake with Catherine Zeta-Jones, that is a friend of him. Friend of his, and he said that he complained that in the remake they did show the monster, and that made the movie not that good as the original, be as good as the original. Another one that he listed is the 1981 classic and really influential movie Evil Dead, directed by Sam Raimi, with a really talented cast, especially with Bruce Campbell as the main character. And it shows a group of young people who go to a cabin in the woods, and they open a book, the Necronomicon, and a lot of demons come out of it, and it's really a great movie. And the final one that he listed to NME was Carnival of Souls, released in 1962, another big classic. And he said that it's one of the scariest movies that he saw, and it deals with ghosts and everything else. And now we move to the list that the movies that he listed during the pandemic. The first one is a more recent one, A Quiet Place, released in 2018. Written and directed by the Office, Jim Halpert, the character from The Office, John Krasinski, who it's really one of the most incredible, I would say, directors from these past years, because he created a really successful and good horror franchise that is A Quiet Place. And it shows the Earth being taken after the Earth was taken over by aliens that can't see, but they can hear every little sound, and they're gonna go and kill you if you make any sound. Another one that he listed is another big classic if you like zombies. Zombies are my favorite horror characters. My favorite monsters are zombies. So this is the first zombie movie that he mentioned. It is 28 Days Later. Another really big classic movie that was directed by the award-winning Danny Boyle. It also had Cillian Murphy on the main role. And this movie had already only one until now only one sequel, which was 28 weeks later, and now they're about to make the third part that is 28 years later. Danny Boyle's back, and Cillian Murphy as well. The next one that he chose, it's quite interesting because it's Friday the 13th, 6, which is called Jason Lives, released in 1986. And the interesting thing about this movie is that in the on the soundtrack of the movie, there is an Alice Cooper song that is it's fantastic, and it is inspired by Jason Voorhees, the character from Friday the 13th franchise, which is His Back, the man behind the mask, which was released in his 1986 album Constrictor as well, in the same year. And it is a fun movie. It's a nice movie, and that song is great. I love that song too. The other one that he mentioned was the 2005 movie The Descent, which shows a group of girls who like to explore caves, and they go to one that is habited by many monsters, and they're trapped in the cave with all those monsters. And it is quite horrifying, quite terrifying. It's certainly one of the greatest horror movies from these past decades. If you haven't seen yet, you should check it out. It's a great movie. The next one that he mentioned, which is also more recent, is Get Out, which was written and directed by probably the most influential and praised new horror movie directors, who is Jordan Peele. And Get Out certainly is one of the biggest horror movie classics from the past decades. And what he's doing it's a revolution, in my opinion, because it's amazing to finally see the black actors on the main roles in horror movies, something that didn't happen because of all the prejudice among the studios and the investors and etc. So it's amazing what Jordan Peele is doing, finally putting black main characters in horror movies, something that didn't used to happen during all these past decades. So it's just amazing. I love him, and what he's doing is just an amazing revolution in horror movies. The next one that he mentioned is The Purge, which is quite interesting, right? The main plot which was released in 2013 and became a huge franchise already. That in the United States, one day every year, you're allowed to go and kill whoever you want to, and that's it. It's everybody for you, take care of yourselves and try to go through that night. It's a really good movie, that first one, and there are some good sequels as well. It's a great idea. The next one that he mentioned was direct, like Salem's Lot that we mentioned it before. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, released in 1974, was also directed by Tobe Hooper, who is certainly one of the most influential and one of the greatest horror movie directors the movie ever had, the movie business. And the next one that he listed was World War Z, released in 2013. It has Brad Pitt as the main character, and it was inspired by a book written by Max Brooks, who is the son of the legendary comedian and actor and director and writer Mel Brooks. As a zombie fan, I prefer Alice liked the movie. I think it's a good movie, but as a zombie fan, I love the George A. Romero kind of zombies. That's those slow zombies, almost falling apart. But these zombies from World War Z, they're running a marathon, and they're like ants climbing up to walls and fences. I mean, it's crazy, but it's a good movie, and sadly it didn't have a sequel, but it's a nice horror movie if you want to see those highly fast and kind of mutant zombies. The next one that he mentioned, it was another movie based on a novel by Stephen King, is Children of the Corn, which also became a huge franchise. It was released in 1984, and it shows a doctor going for a trip with his wife, and they're interrupted by the couple when they find a few bodies on the road. They try to call the police, and they end up in a village where the young worshippers of a macabre cult perform human sacrifices. It's a really nice movie, probably one of the greatest horror movies from the 80s. And talking about George Romero, Alice also listed The Night of the Living Dead, probably the most influential, the most important zombie movie of all time, because when George released this movie in 1968, before that, zombies were kind of, they were people who were, someone cast a spell upon them, and these people would do anything they wanted. They were hypnotized by that people, by the person, like kind of a voodoo thing. Zombies were like that before this movie directed by George Romero, because this was the first time in the movies that zombies were shown as flesh-eating monsters, and that changed it all. And a whole new genre of movies, and everything was created. So this is a very important movie, an incredible movie. If you haven't seen, you should check it out. And another one that he mentioned, another big classic, The Omen, released in 1976. It has Gregory Peck. It's certainly one of the greatest movies about the devil. It's just perfect. It shows an American ambassador and a wife who decides to adopt a kid who actually is the son of the devil, Damien, and all kinds of stuff start to happen. It's a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. And the final one that he mentioned, it probably one of the biggest horror movie classics of all time, Psycho, released in 1960, directed by the master Alfred Hitchcock, and that showed Norman Bates, the owner of the Bates Motel, and it had Janet Leigh on the main role, and also the incredible Anthony Perkins as Norman Bates. One of the greatest classics of all time, one of the most incredible plot twists in the history of cinema. So if you haven't seen, you should definitely check it out as well. So these are the 17 horror movies that Alice said are some of his favorites of all time. I hope you liked the list. Hope you liked the video. Leave your like, leave your comment. Tell me what you think. If you want to read more about this, go to the description and read the 2 articles we wrote about this, okay? Thank you for watching, and I see you later.